Welcome to Nashua Geographic Episode 8. My name is John Prestidge. This is about Hollis Crossing, a condominium community about 2 miles west of Route 3 in Nashua, New Hampshire. I'm really going to talk about a view from our deck and on our deck and about our favorite trees. Here is what it looks like when we're on our deck looking out over the wetlands, looking east toward the Nashua River. This is really prime location because we see all kinds of birds and wildlife, and we even see our neighbors walking by, the people walking on the trails. And specifically, our favorite trees are some dead trees back about 2/10 of a mile away, on which we often see ospreys and herons and eagles landing. Now, in the morning, here's what we may see some mornings when we get up and take a look, and it's usually a sign of rough weather coming, but we can accept that as well. We also see mornings when it's foggy and you can see the sun peeking through the fog. Here's another one where we're seeing fog off the river like it was yesterday on the wetlands where the air is cool and the water is a little warmer. We often see the bright blue skies with puffy clouds, and we were also lucky enough to see a 180-degree rainbow over the wetlands. And I even show you some snow. And this is what it looks like on a full moon in the evening. The first part of this presentation is going to be related to the larger birds, the raptors, the waterfowl, the migratory birds, herons, birds like that. Here are some common mergansers. The second half is going to be more related to songbirds. There's a hooded merganser. There's another hooded merganser. Very beautiful, very flamboyant, just like the wood ducks. I think the male wood duck is probably the most colorful, most flamboyant of all the male waterfowl in North America. And there are the common mallards, two drakes. We also get the mute swans. Now, mute swans are very aggressive, and they try to keep other waterfowl away, but they're outnumbered. But we really love the beauty of them. They come right up very close to the deck, up to the edge of the cattails and the weeds. Then we have the great blue herons. They're true fishermen. That's an early morning photo. There's another one. And I have seen as many as 7 at one time from our deck, right out of the wetlands. I've seen them in the winter. Here they are walking on the ice. There's another one walking on the ice. A lot of people don't really realize or understand that these birds land in trees. As a matter of fact, they nest in trees. I've seen many, many nests in trees in you might call it a heron rookery. Now these trees are about 2/10 of a mile away, but from my deck with my standard ordinary point and shoot camera, I can get these photos. There's a great egret, which is like the great blue heron, only white. It has a yellow beak and dark legs. They are true fishermen. There he just caught a fish. And here are the black-backed gulls, seagulls, right out on the wetlands, right off from our deck. Here's looking at you. There's another one. And the Canada geese. Some of them stay around all winter. Here, it looks like they're dipping a toe in the water to check the temperature. Here's one nesting on what appears to be a muskrat house. And there is a result of that nesting relationship of the two. We also get some of the larger birds, the crows, American crows and fish crows. Here they are, right on the branches above our deck. One morning there were a bunch of vultures out there. It was very foggy, difficult to get a good photo, but there they are. And the ospreys nest in these trees. In 2011, they nested there and they raised 2 chicks. We watched from the day the nest started till the little chicks or the young ones flew away, the fledglings. Here are more ospreys. There's a pair of them. Now the female is slightly larger than the male, and there's a male or an osprey being harassed by a grackle. There are two of the ospreys, and here is a pair of them. And this is one of the nests. The top of that tree did break off, so that nest is gone, but they're now nesting on the river. And here are some more ospreys. Here is a pair of broadwing hawks. They're just sitting there looking away, and now here they're looking at each other. Now the ospreys plummet about 150 to 200 feet to get the fish, whereas the great bald eagle, he comes in, swoops in, and picks things off the surface of the water. But they are such a pleasure to watch. There's an immature one. It takes about 4 or 5 years before they get their white heads and tail feathers. Here's a pair of sharp-shinned hawks. They're like the Cooper's hawk that you're now seeing. These guys come swooping in, pick little songbirds off the deck. One year we had a pair of red-tailed hawks nesting here, and they chose to sit right on our railing or on the bench. Here's one soaring over the property. And here is a broadwing hawk. And another. We also get some nice wildlife. Here's a red fox on the ice or in the snow on the wetlands. One day we saw one carrying what appeared to be a deer leg. It has to eat too, I guess. And then we saw a mink. Mink was going pretty fast. I couldn't get a good photo, but at least we can see what it is. Here is a fisher. In New England, they call them fisher cats. Here in the Midwest, they're fishers. And we see beavers, and we see muskrats, and we've seen otters. And here is a squirrel, kind of flaked out on a warm day, and red squirrels, and the little pine squirrels. And then the chipmunk, of course, he says, I'm going to have this little cavity for my home. And the deer, white-tailed deer across the wetlands from us. And these come right by our deck. And we've seen moose tracks on the trail right by our deck, but we've never seen the moose. And here we see eastern bluebirds come right to the feeder, and they're picking up suet off the ground from below the suet dispenser. Here's one washing the suet into the bird bath. Here's one eating some suet. And the Carolina wren, which is a very raucous but a nice bird. We love them. And the Baltimore oriole eating the orange halves that we put out for them. That's really a good way to attract them too. The Valencia orange is probably the best of the choices. There's a female. And here's another beautiful bird, the cedar waxwing in the blossoms right by our deck. And here is a catbird, slate gray with chestnut underside to the tail. And then we're seeing an eastern kingbird, and it's the only small songbird with a white tip on the end of its tail. Here are mourning doves, and 3 more of them right above us, and a brown-headed cowbird that comes in. Red-winged blackbirds sitting on the cattails, which is a very common sight, and they also come to the feeders. And the purple grackle, quite a bit larger than the blackbird. And the pileated woodpecker. They come right to the suet dispensers. Nice to see them. And a downy woodpecker. And a hairy woodpecker. The hairy is slightly larger and with a longer bill than the downy. There shows the short bill of the downy. Now here's a red-bellied woodpecker. He got an unusual sound. A lot of people say that must be a tree frog sound. There's a flicker. There's a flicker in the winter, and it has a slightly different color to it. Now here's one of the most beautiful birds, the rose-breasted grosbeak and its mate. They have a song that sounds like a robin on steroids. They are really beautiful. They come the first part of May. Here's a tufted titmouse. Here's where the turf war begins. The titmouse wanted that same cavity that the chipmunk had. There's a red-breasted nuthatch and a white-breasted nuthatch. There's another white-breasted nuthatch, and a red-breasted nuthatch on the suet dispenser, and the northern mockingbird on the suet dispenser. There he is again. You look closely, you'll see his red tongue. And here is the house finch. They're very much like the purple finch, but the purple finch doesn't have any stripe below the red on its breast. So purple finch, of course, is a New Hampshire state bird. And there is a tree swallow, iridescent blue, and a song sparrow. Song sparrow nestling in the reeds right off the deck. And a black-capped chickadee, same spot. Black-capped chickadee on the feeder. Slate-colored or dark-eyed junco, one and the same. Beautiful bird. Now here's a northern cardinal male, as seen right from our deck. Here he is again. And this is a female. Still a beautiful bird, even though it's slightly different color. There is a cardinal with a bunch of goldfinches. There is a song sparrow sitting on the railing. And here are a bunch of birds. There are song sparrows. There are that's a pine siskin there. Pine siskins here, along with goldfinches, American tree sparrows. And here is just kind of a swarm of finches and siskins. There's a goldfinch in the summer plumage areas and the winter plumage. And the blue jay and the American robin. Now here is the smallest. This is a ruby-throated hummingbird. There he is again. And one day I went out, and on the railing sat a red-spotted purple admiral butterfly, just daring me to take its picture, so I accommodated it. And we see some of the most beautiful foliage here. Virgensbauer, we got the red berries, we get the sumac, and of course we had American chestnut tree. We're lucky enough to have American chestnut tree right near our deck. And we have the maples and oaks and pines. Now here again are these favorite trees of ours, about 2/10 of a mile away, and here is what we were looking for, the American bald eagle. And that kind of wraps it up, but thank you for watching. This is courtesy of Access Nashua Channel 96 and Avard Productions. This has really been a pleasure to produce, to take all the photos, to see the photos, and just enjoy the beauty around us. Thank you.